Hello, and welcome to Alone in the South Passage, where this week we will be talking mostly about computer games. I say we, not me at all. Stefan, how are you?
I'm good. You managed to worm your way out of it this time, didn't you?
Well, I think the world is better placed when I'm not talking about computer games. I mean, I'm more than happy to talk a lot about things I know absolutely nothing about, but computer games is too much. It's a step too far, I think.
We do that a lot anyway, don't we? Talking about things that we have no idea about. So
exactly.
It's about the same.
What else would we talk about if not?
Well, exactly. Yeah, we get through it somehow. Well, I'm pissed off because there's a fly buzzing around in here and I cannot fucking kill it. So if you see me, if I knock the mic or I fall off my chair while I'm desperately trying to swat the blasted thing, then please excuse me. But apart from that, I'm doing just dandy. How are you doing?
Good. I'm very good. And I'd just like to extend a warm welcome to everyone. The computer games that I mentioned, obviously, is Star Wars Outlaws. Steph has done a wonderful interview with Bas van Dun of various podcasts, as you'll find out later. He's sounds like a very busy man. Very busy indeed. That interview's coming up a little bit later on. Where Steph and Baz will discuss Star Wars Outlaws at length, as well as a few other Star Wars things and what he's been up to in general. Other than that, we'll be doing Second Chance Cinema Club, as ever, where this week we will be talking about Outlander from 2008. It is called Outlander, isn't it, Steph?
It is, yeah.
I nominated that film, and I went to watch it a few days later. I was like, what was that film called?
Doesn't really stick in the mind.
It doesn't, does it? It's quite a generic title, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which we'll get into later. Anyway, that was that. If you've got anything you'd like to talk to us about, anything you'd like to send us on your thoughts, it's aloneinsouthpassage@gmail.com. It's at AITSP_podcast on Instagram, or you can find us on YouTube where you can comment on a video or two, which would be lovely.
Yeah.
Anything else? Nothing. Oh, send us a message. If you're listening to us via a mobile device or tablet, you can use the send us a message thing at the top of the episode description, which also works beautifully. So
send us some hate mail.
Yeah. So, other than your interview with Baz, Steph, quick question. Okay. I know you haven't yet been to the cinema yet to see any of the Star Wars films that are out at the moment.
Yeah.
I know regular listeners and people who've got their eye on such things will know that in the UK, at least, I don't know about, you could have asked Baz about the Netherlands, actually. I'm guessing it didn't come up in your conversation.
No.
In the UK,
why would we talk about Star Wars films?
Why would you, hey? Why would you? In the Netherlands, not in the Netherlands, in the UK at least, it came up. We are experiencing a beautiful moment in time where all the Star Wars films are on in the cinema, which is great.
Yeah.
And you can see them on the big screen if you want. But they are being shown in chronological order. We've had the Phantom Menaces out of the way.
Done.
I say out of the way. That's an unfair way to describe it, isn't it?
Get that shit done.
The Phantom Menace has been on for the second time this year in cinemas.
Yeah.
We've already experienced it as part of the 25th anniversary. We've also got, last week was Attack of the Clones.
Right.
I feel like we're starting to get into the nitty-gritty now. We're starting to get to the serious stuff.
To the good films.
Is there anything that you might be going to watch, Steph?
I'm not seeing Revenge of the Sith or Rogue One.
You're not going to see Rogue One?
I've not planned to. I've only bought tickets for the original trilogy. I'm reasonably sure I've got commitments. I can't remember when it is now.
I've got commitments. I think
I'm washing my hair.
I can't possibly do it.
Yeah. Is that next weekend?
Well, I know. No. So Revenge of the Sith is on this week and this weekend. Yeah. And it's on depending on which cinema chain you use, it's a certain midweek, it's on next week. So, then we'll follow it with Rogue One, I believe.
Yeah.
In the weekend of the 14th?
Yeah. No, I definitely can't do.
Can't do that. Can't do that. I'm so busy.
I can't.
So busy. I've got such a busy calendar.
I have. Well, that's the one weekend I'm proper chocker. I've got to go and clear my dad's flat out because we finally sold it. So I've got to take a van up to Northwich and empty a flat.
Northwich, Victoria.
Northwich, Cheshire.
Yes.
So I'll be having much more fun doing that than watching Rogue One, sadly.
Oh, you could come back via Sheffield. We could go together.
Oh, is that? Yeah.
I mean, it's not really a via. It's more of a.
It's an enormous detour, but
it's a detour of sorts, I'd say.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you let me, if I can park the van up, and I'll happily.
The van up. No, it's okay. I don't expect you to drive 80 miles in the wrong direction with a van load of stuff after clearing a flat all weekend. No. That's I may go and see Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
Depending on timings. I have a slot in my calendar that may have just opened up for this Sunday, which might allow me to go and see it. Okay. Which I would very much like to do, because I remember out of the three prequels, Revenge of the Sith is the one I remember seeing at the cinema, and it being obviously they were all a big deal. Yeah. Revenge of the Sith, I kind of went in. It was the one that I remember being blown away by.
Yeah.
Whereas the other two, as we've spoken at length of in the past, it
didn't do it.
The Phantom Menace I loved at the time purely because it was new Star Wars in the cinema that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones had some faults for me.
Yeah.
But Revenge of the Sith was like, wow, this is amazing. I love it.
Yeah, agreed. And I kind of, now we're talking about it, I kind of wish I was seeing Revenge of the Sith, because I think I've only seen that in the cinema once, like when it was released.
Yeah. I think I may have gone twice when it was first out.
Yeah, but not since. I haven't seen it in a cinema since it's released.
No, well, I guess. Well, if everything else is to go by, we'll have a 25th anniversary in a few years' time, but that's a while off now. That's about 6 years off, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But, I mean, Attack of the Clones,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it is definitely improved on the big screen, for sure, with the when Obi-Wan's flying around with Jango Fett and they're loosing off those. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That's amazing in a cinema.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's only really the last 10 minutes with the Dooku lightsaber fights that are worth tuning in for. But yeah, Revenge of the Sith's a great movie. But I think
that opening scene on the big screen as well.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, the big old, the drums and the starships and the annoying little vulture droids and all that bullshit.
Vulture droids.
Yeah, I think that's what they're called.
No.
Googly-eyed.
That ship's crawling with vulture droids.
Yeah, that's it.
Whatever he says.
Missiles that, rather than exploding and destroying their target, deposit tiny little droids into your ship.
Crawl all over your wings.
Yeah.
Well,
oh, that's so deadly. I mean,
R2 will take care of them.
Worst it seems to do, it breaks your demisters, doesn't it?
You could literally, they could have just been bombs that attached themselves to your ship and blew up.
Yeah.
No. At which point, the rest of Star Wars is history, because
exactly.
We have no Vader.
They'd have just thought, no, definitely not.
Pretty sure he can't breathe in space, regardless of how strong with the Force he is.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Although Leia manages to fly through space.
And on that note, we shall move on.
We're just pretending that doesn't exist.
I mean that. I don't hate them for that, but yeah, this is a bit weird. Anyway, tell us about introduce your interview with Bas.
Yeah, so our good mate Bas van Dun has kindly joined us this week. I caught up with him earlier to talk about Star Wars Outlaws game, as you said, which was released last week for PS5, Xbox, and PC. And he's been furiously beavering away on it. So he came to tell us all about what he thinks of it. Is it any good, and should we buy it?
Fantastic.
So, let's have a little listen to what he has to say. Welcome back, Vaz. Good to see you again. Or Baz.
It's been a long time, but yeah, I'm back. Hello,
welcome back. I've screwed up already. I called you Vaz for some reason. It's that typical English thing where we're not used to foreign names and pronunciations. We're terrible at that. So profuse apologies in advance. But yeah, so it's actually been 9 months since we had you on the show last time to talk about Star
Oh,
Wars.
so we could have had a baby now.
We could have done. We could have created new life in that time. Absolutely, through the will of the Force, or like that, or convergence, or whatever it might be. Indeed. But so, what you been up to in that time? How things over at the Star Wars podcast?
Well, our podcast is going strong. Yeah, we're doing Comic Cons. We're doing our live shows every Sunday on YouTube still. A lot of engagement there. Talking about the series, the games, the comics, the books, everything. Recently, I started a new podcast with my wife.
Wow.
It's an English podcast. It's called Distory, and it's about the history of Disney. So Distory. And we're going through the whole history of the Walt Disney Company. And literally, episode 1 was Walt Disney and the creation of Mickey Mouse, and episode 2 will release in a week, and that's Snow White. And so we're going through the whole Disney Company monthly, and yeah, it's great. It's fun, and yeah, like I said, the Star Wars podcast is doing a thing, and we're growing.
Fantastic. Oh, great
Yeah.
to hear. Yeah, I'll be sure to check out the new one. I mean, presumably, at some point, a Disney-based podcast is going to catch up with a Star Wars-based podcast when the two kind of meet.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
It is fantastic. And how about the From a Certain Point of View documentaries? Are we going to see any more of those?
I kind of stopped with those because they were too time consuming. I aim to release a video every week. I did 2 full seasons. That's around 70 videos. And I was like, okay, now I'm going to pause for a bit because it took all day, every day. They might come back someday. So season 3, I still have some games left. Not much, but there are still some games left. So they might come back. But at the moment, life got in the way. I got married in the meanwhile. So
congrats.
Thank you. Big trips coming up, a lot of work at the day job. So maybe someday, but not at the moment.
Well, let me just reiterate to our listeners again what excellent documentaries they are. If you're at all interested in Star Wars video games, check out the From a Certain Point of View documentaries that Baz has created on YouTube. They are very, very good.
Thank you.
So, speaking of games, you are here for a specific reason, and that reason is I can't be bothered to spend all my money on Star Wars Outlaws yet. So I want you to tell us if we should be doing that or if we shouldn't. So the game came out officially on the 30th. I think you had some early access.
Yes.
For a few days, didn't you? Was that because you did a pre-order?
I bought the whole Ultimate Collection edition, deluxe, super extravaganza, 140 euro
nice
box set. Yeah, so that
you went all in. It's straight in at the deep end.
Yeah, I just take my money. It's a Star Wars game. I'm gonna enjoy it no matter what. So just take my money. And boy, did I have a hard time.
Really? So what's your sort of first initial thoughts? It's been about just over a week you've been playing now?
Yeah. First off, I love the game. I really am enjoying myself with this game. But I have a hate-love relationship with it. And that's because of those first days. So I paid 140 euros. And that's because I get all the DLC that's coming with Lando and Hondo Ohnaka and everything. But also early access. Everything went fine. First day, whole day playing, enjoying myself. Discovering the galaxy, playing with Nix, whatever. Then Ubisoft updated the game, and that broke the game for a lot of players. So that meant that at one moment when you try to take off from a planet that you have to do to progress through the story, the button to actually take off wasn't there. And that meant you couldn't take off anymore. So that meant you couldn't progress through the game.
Right.
So people were mad. They went onto Twitter or X, the Discord of the game.
Yeah.
And a day later, Ubisoft came with a fix, and the fix was delete your save game and start over.
Ooh, bet that didn't go down well.
No. So the thing is, I played a lot of hours that I just could delete and hope that the bug wouldn't be there the next time I came to that point.
Yeah.
But also, I paid for early access, and my early access game save is just deleted now. Okay, I played the game, but it didn't do anything because I had to delete everything that I did that day. And day one, I played a lot of Star Wars Outlaws. So that was all down the drain. And the second time, it goes faster because you know what to do, but it's not as fun as the first time if you do it literally the day after.
Of course.
So yeah, I noticed that on PlayStation 5, a lot of players had this bug. I play on Xbox, and on Xbox it wasn't that common.
Right.
It was a PlayStation problem, and those people get compensated with some lousy Ubisoft points at the moment. But
Right.
but yeah, but after that, I am really enjoying myself. This really is an awesome game, and it's so much. It's so different from all the other Star Wars games that we had in the past. There's no Jedi, there's no lightsaber, no Force powers.
Yeah.
It's literally you are Kay Vess, and she is just a female version of Han Solo, to make it easy.
Yeah.
So if you are taking on the Empire, you have to sneak in, make sure they don't see you, be smart about everything, think through your actions, because you can't just attack them.
Right.
Because 1 or 2 stormtroopers might be fine, but 600 stormtroopers, yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So it's so much different than everything we had Star Wars wise. And yeah, that's really cool. You have to think about what you do, and that's what I miss in games these days. Normally it's 5 enemies, blast them away next. And this, oh no, 5 enemies, what am I gonna do? So it makes it more human, and that's what I like. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that sounds really positive. I mean, you this is being billed as the first ever open world Star Wars game. Can we truly call it open world? Because there's been some criticism that it's still fairly closed off, and you don't have that much freedom.
Well, the planets are big. They're really big. There are a couple of planets, so it's not like they have 20 planets. You have 5 planets. You start on Canto Bight. That's kind of small, but after the introductory missions and the galaxy opens to you, those planets are really big. And they say it's like 5 minutes from left to right on the map on a speeder bike.
Right.
That sounds like it's a small place to play on, but a speeder bike is pretty fast.
Yeah.
So
if you're walking, that's going to be 4 or 5 times slower than that. Is it?
Yeah, even more. I think that if we look at space to play on, it is as big as an Assassin's Creed game.
Okay.
So it's really big, but the cool thing is every planet is different.
Yeah.
So there are lots of unique places to discover, and that's part of the game. Discover them, because every planet has its own secrets, has its own extras to discover. So the game really tries to get you off the beaten path. So it's really hard to follow the main story, because they actually have interesting side missions each time. It's not just go there, fetch this, talk to him, and go back. The side missions are really interesting at times. So I found myself really going onto those side missions and really forgetting why I was at the planet, because right, I had to do this and that. But there's another side mission that sounds interesting. Let's go there.
Nice.
So they really know how to get a hold of you, and you can invest a lot in this game, and I think it will be a long time before I put it on 100% completion.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm liking the sound of it, definitely. I was thinking though, even in games like Jedi Fallen Order and things like that, you could hop from planet to planet and you could pretty much free roam around there as you please. But it sounds like the scope of this is
way bigger.
Way bigger, yeah. I mean, it's sounding a bit more of a kind of a Skyrim type thing, where with all the side quests and the the NPC interactions and so on.
If you ever played an Assassin's Creed, you know what you can expect.
Right. So it's very much in that Ubisoft type of game.
Yes and no. You're not really climbing towers to synchronize the game world around you like in every other Ubisoft game.
Yeah.
But what Ubisoft does well, and really well, is they do know how to create interesting worlds.
Yeah.
And you can say what you want about the Avatar game or the latest Assassin's Creed, but the worlds that they played and really are amazing and big, and there's a lot to do outside of the main story. And this game is no different. The world lives. If you go to planets with cities on it, there are loads of characters who all do their own thing, who can talk to you, who bring story with them. You can eavesdrop on people just random and maybe get a hint about a heist that's coming up, or to how to bet on a race or whatever. So standing still in this game can give you some extra. So don't run all the time. Stand still, listen to what's happening, look at what's happening, because it looks like an NPC, but that NPC could mean something that you might like in a couple of hours. I was listening to some people on the street, and they were talking about races at the race course, and one had a tip that they did something to one of the animals that was running, and then I went in, placed a bet on that animal, and I won. If I didn't stand still at that moment, I wouldn't know that animal was going to win the race. But now I did, and I got a lot of credits out of it. So yeah, there's more to do than you might think when you look at the game. Yeah.
Okay. No, I like the sound of that. You mentioned you start on Canto Bight. That's the casino planet from The Last Jedi, right?
Exactly.
So these races, you're talking about those weird horsey
the
camel
feathers,
farriers, or those weird things. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it's a better game than that was a scene in a movie. But
it is.
That's okay. Good. That helps. That really helps. All right. So hearing a lot of really good positive stuff there, but I think in fairness, from what I've seen, there have been some mixed reviews on this, critically speaking. Well, I mean, I say professional in inverted commas, professional critics generally have been quite favourable. Obviously, we don't always know if there was an incentive for them to do that or whatever, but really the user scores of where we've seen some quite low scores on this. What for you? I mean, you've outlined some of the real major pros for the game there. Apart from Ubisoft breaking the game and making you delete your save a couple of days in, what are sort of the less good things about the game that you've come across?
I think that people, when you think Star Wars, you think big epic space, you think lightsabers, Jedi, bombastic music, explosions, that kind of stuff. This is not that game.
Okay.
So I really think that people... I mean, we just came out of Jedi Survivor, which had that big epic scale and story and those explosions and lightsaber fights and that kind of stuff. I think people, the name Star Wars, it brings an expectation, what you can expect, and I think that expectation for a lot of players has been something totally different than what the game is, and I don't know if that's the player's fault or the way Ubisoft marketed the game, because this is more a stealth game than it is an action game.
Right. Okay.
But if you look at the trailers, you wouldn't know that. You think it's an action game with some stealth elements. Yeah. I'm sneaking around more of the time than I'm actually using my blasters and my fist.
Okay.
So I think the expectations are not correct. And I don't know if it's Ubisoft's fault or just the player's fault. I think they're both to blame for this. And the thing that I see a lot online is that people think it's woke. And I hate the term woke. And if I ask people, why do you think this is woke? The standard answer is you play as a girl.
Yeah, which is nonsense.
I mean, we played with Iden Versio in Battlefront 2, and that was fine. We played with Lara Croft, and that was fine. So I don't know why playing as a girl means woke these days, but
no, I agree with that.
I think it's really cool that you play with a new character and you play as a girl, because if they made a male out of Kay, it would just be a Han Solo clone. Then why not play as Han Solo? Making her a woman feels like a whole different character, although she has a lot of solo-ish stuff going around her. But, it's just a whole woke agenda online from players. I mean, I went into conversation like, okay, tell me what's woke about this game, and I never get an answer. Never.
Yeah. What specifically is it about it that you find so abhorrent? And then they've got nothing, have they?
And I also think it's the Star Wars fan base these days, because it's not the fun fan base it once was online. And I think the majority of people really enjoy Star Wars for what it is. But I think online on socials, it's the haters, the people who are screaming woke at everything. I mean, the fact that with the Acolyte, the actors got harassed online because of their skin color or whatever, that's not what Star Wars should be. And we see this happening with this game as well, because the actress who's playing Kay Vess got harassed with people, hey, you're just a woke element in my Star Wars game, and I'm not playing this game because I can't play as a male. And I think it's a sign of the times, and I don't think I like it that much.
No, I completely agree, and we are dead against that kind of toxic behavior. Absolutely. Even going all the way back to Metroid, that sort of is the twist that you were playing as a female, that was neat, and that was at a time when video game characters pretty much were all just macho Marines or Super Mario or whatever. So it's I think it's great. And I've got to be honest, when you've got the option, like in Skyrim or whatever, when you're creating a character, I tend to create a female character anyway.
I always do.
Yeah, it's just I don't know why. Just
If I can choose between genders in a game, I always pick female, because then for me it's easier to step into their life, into their story, because it's a completely different character than me.
Exactly.
It takes me into their world. If I create a male that looks exactly like me, it's just me in a fantasy world. It doesn't take me into the game world. But yeah, this actually helps me. So and I'm really glad, because Kay is an interesting character, and particularly with Nyx, the sidekick animal furry thing. Like, I don't know what kind of alien it is. It's so cool. It is like Cal Kestis and BD1, but cuter.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, at least it's not a droid. Like, I've got a bit of a thing about annoying little droids that they keep introducing into Star Wars, and they do get on my wick a little bit. So I was glad to see that you actually had like a little dog kind of thing.
Yeah, and the cool thing is you really get a connection with Nyx, because he's there the whole game, and you actually need him through the gameplay. So let's say I'm sneaking and there are a couple of stormtroopers. I can use Nyx to distract them and sneak past them while he is doing some stupid stuff, breaking something or whatever. Yeah. But also, if there's someone way ahead of me and he has a key card or something that I need, I can actually send Nyx, steal the card from him, get it back to me so I can progress further. But there's also these moments that you can just pet Nyx, or if you point your blaster at him, he plays dead and that kind of stuff. So it's silly in the right moments. Yeah. But you really get a connection through Kay and Nyx. And I mean, in Jedi Survivor, the connection between Cal Kestis and BD1 really worked, because they went on that adventure together and they went through the same hard moments. And it's the same here, except that Nyx is alive. So if something happens to Nyx, it's harder, because a droid you can rebuild, but if Nyx dies, that's the end.
Oh God!
Not saying he dies or anything. I'm not doing any spoilers here. Don't worry.
I was gonna say, blimey, don't play with my emotions like that. That's
and Nyx is played by D. Bradley Baker, of course. So
okay.
It's the clones.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So you mentioned that there's a lot more stealth in the game than you were anticipating, and I've heard some of the detractors say that the stealth mechanics do feel slightly outdated. There's a kind of some of the stealth is enforced, and then if you're discovered, you've got to go back to the waypoint, to the checkpoints and things. So having recalibrated your experience of the game from what you thought to what you're playing, am I right in saying that you've actually, that hasn't taken away from the game for you? Like, you're still really enjoying those elements?
Yeah, and it is true that, let's say you infiltrate an Imperial base or something and you get caught, it's back to square one, or it goes back to your latest checkpoint. But it's logical, because if you go into an Imperial base, what the Imperials do is send you to the brig, kill you, whatever, game over. So you have to go back outside and try again. And I think you have to see the stealth elements more as puzzles. What is the best way for me to get in? I had to go into this Imperial base, and I tried and I failed, and I tried and I failed, and the fourth or fifth time I found a whole other way to get in, to sneak away around. I found new characters over there. I had conversations with characters. I used my stun blaster to get rid of some troopers, and when I actually found the way in, it made it more, how do I say that? It feels so good when you finally get it. When you get to that point, without being seen. Yeah. It's I don't know if you ever played Metal Gear Solid. Oh yes. You can do stealth. You can get your gun out and shoot everybody, but and shooting everybody is easy. You do a few headshots, they're dead, gone. You go in, grab the stuff. You can do that in this game. Not always. Sometimes you have to go stealth, but in Imperial bases that are on the outside of the planet, go ahead. But it's way more fun and way more satisfying when you do the stealth way, because it's intense. Yeah. It's more realistic, because if you go into an Imperial base, you don't want to be seen by the stormtroopers. And when you get to the same object, which you might have when you killed everybody, it gives so much satisfaction when you got there without being seen, and you did everything right under the nose of the Imperials, and they don't even know you were there. And that's so much more fun than just blasting everything. Because if I want to blast stormtroopers, I mean, the remake of Dark Forces released a couple of months ago, I'll play that again.
Sure.
Lots of stormtroopers to blast. This is something new, something we never did in Star Wars, and yeah, I really think it's kind of cool.
Okay, I like that. I hope it's not too much like Metal Gear Solid, because I spent most of that game hiding in, closets and locker rooms and things, just waiting for things to move past. But I get what you're saying, though. It's down to the player to decide on their approach. So
yeah, and especially if you use Nick's right, I mean, you can infiltrate a base on a way different way than I would, because maybe you just go through ducts, through vents and whatever, while I take the other way, but I use Nick's to use distractions, to turn cameras off, to make sure the alarm doesn't work, to hack terminals, that kind of stuff. So there are multiple ways to your goal, and yeah, it's just fun finding out all the options that you have.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, so if we were to kind of rate this game in the pantheon of all the Star Wars games, and I know you've played pretty much all of them, if not all of them. So if we're looking at one end of the scale, which I think we agreed last time, one of the worst is the Masters of Terraskasi game, the Street Fighter take on Star Wars, or Star Wars take on Street Fighter, all the way up to kind of the best games, which are generally considered to be Knights of the Old Republic and those sort of ilk. Whereabouts on that scale are you saying that Star Wars Outlaws sits?
That's kind of a hard question to answer, because if I think about the best Star Wars games, let's say Knights of the Old Republic, Republic Commando, that kind of games, they were amazing, but also they are nostalgic for me now. Right. I can still remember the first time that I found out who Revan was in Knights of the Republic. I was young. It was amazing. It was the best we ever had.
Yeah.
With this game, I don't have any nostalgic feeling, because it's literally not even a week old.
Fair enough.
So it's kind of a hard question. But if I would give it a on the number scale, I would give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
For what I experienced, and
Very
it's
good.
not counting the restart bug, but just the game for what it is now, I would give it an 8. So it's not perfect. It's not bad. It's just a good game.
Yeah. Well, that puts it well above a lot of Star Wars games that are out there, which sadly do fall below par. So that's really good to hear. Well, brilliant. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to tell us your views on the game, and I hope the next few weeks and months lead to many more hours of enjoyment as you play through it, and
not restarting again.
And not restarting again. No, unless you want to. So right, well, whilst we got you, let's just catch up on a couple of other bits then. So obviously there's been some new Star Wars TV stuff recently. So just in a nutshell, how did you get on with The Acolyte? What was your thoughts on that?
When it first dropped, I saw the first episodes on the big screen.
Wow. At the cinema.
At the cinema. That was really cool, just to see Star Wars on the big screen again, because it's been a while. I think The Acolyte started slow, but every episode I grew more into it. And the moment that it really got me was around episode 5. So when we finally see the stranger for the first time, and that big showdown with all the Jedi that may not live to tell a tale after that. And I really started to feel where they were going with this series. But I did feel at the end that The Acolyte, the first season, was really a season to set it up.
Yeah.
I think the problem with The Acolyte was it had not only... It had to do multiple things at once. It had to tell a cool story. It had to show a whole new way of Jedi and Force powers and fighting styles with all the Kung Fu going on. But it also had to introduce a lot of viewers who have never read a Star Wars book to the High Republic.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think people who never read a book never even knew what the High Republic was. So the fact that this is way before the Phantom Menace, way before everything they knew, it also had the job to do that. And maybe it was too much for 8 episodes.
Right.
I think if they did like 10 or 11 or 12 episodes, the story could be better.
Yeah.
The time frame could be more fleshed out. And I think that the reveal would be more impactful. But the thing is, the end of season 1, I was really like, okay, I can't wait for season 2 because now we're getting to the cool stuff. Now we saw Plagueis. We know the with the two sisters, one's going to the Sith route, one's to the Jedi route. What will Plagueis do? Because we know those two girls were created by the Force, by the Coven. Plagueis is going to create life, as we all know. What is the impact on what he does to Palpatine? That kind of stuff. It just got interesting at the moment that they canceled it.
Yeah, agreed.
And I really hope that some way we will see a season 2, and maybe it's not even called The Acolyte. Maybe we have different actors, maybe other roles, but I really want to see more of these two sisters, about what Plagueis is doing, because he's hiding in the shadows for a reason. He's looking at them. I think they were like an experiment, because they were created through the Force. He's going to create Anakin. Anakin will be created through the Force, of course. We know Plagueis can bring people. They won't die if he doesn't want them to die. This is really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
But the execution was too rushed, I think.
Yeah. No, I think that's really fair. I think you're absolutely spot on with a lot of those comments. Yeah, really interesting. Great setup. Really enjoy that era. It'll be a damn shame if we don't get any more of that. And I know there's all, it's been flying around it's cancelled and all this and that, and then there's petitions and counter petitions and all this kind of stuff. So who knows where we'll end up with? But I think absolutely, the premise is very exciting, and there's a lot more to explore there. I think you're right. It was just getting exciting at the end, wasn't it?
It had its flaws. I mean, it will never be my favorite Star Wars series out there.
No.
But it also had its great moments, and I really think that all the stuff that happened online, I saw it happen around me, that people were just not going to watch the series because everybody online was hating on it.
Yeah.
But I really think that 80 or 70% of people hating on it never saw an episode because they just saw online, okay, this sucks, let's not watch it. If people just watch it, maybe those viewer numbers went up, and don't always just listen to what you read online, because like I said, the Star Wars fan group on Facebook and that kind of stuff is just toxic as hell these days.
Oh yes.
I saw a video on my YouTube stream last week. It was some kind of a Harry Potter back to Hogwarts day or something, and I saw the video of that. I said to my wife, oh, how I would love it to be the Star Wars community, how those people talk to each other and love each other, and just, okay, you don't like this book, fine, but we're still fans of the bigger picture. And in I really feel with Star Wars, if you like The Acolyte, you got attacked online.
Yeah.
We had it with our podcast. We got DMs because we were in favor of the show. We got angry DMs. How could you talk about the show this way? This is dumb, and this is woke, and Kathleen Kennedy should die. And it's a show. It's a fantasy show, and everybody can have its own opinion. And I mean, the thing I said is it was a start for something great to come. If with every start, and the start doesn't go like it should be, and we just cancel it, we would never have Revenge of the Sith. Because The Phantom Menace wasn't a great super duper movie when it came out. Everybody hated it. What if George Lucas said, okay, you're not getting Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, because you don't like episode 1? This is what's happening now. We're not going to the cool stuff because the basics, the first base that we just laid, got canceled. And that's what I hate about it. Just give it the shot to grow and to be what it wants to be, and don't cancel stuff after one season because some people behind the keyboard says it sucks.
Absolutely. No, I think I totally agree with what you said there, and it's set a worrying precedent if it is true that these angry idiots have managed to have some kind of effect and exercise some power over Disney's decision making. So and
the thing is, I don't care. Let's say you don't like it. Sure, you don't have to like it, but don't attack other people who do.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I just don't understand why people get into fights online because person A loves The Acolyte and person B doesn't like. Okay, fine, go watch something else. There's so much Star Wars to enjoy these days. It's almost impossible to like everything because it's so much. I mean, one of my co-hosts on the Dutch podcast doesn't like Endor. I think Endor is one of the best things that Disney created, Star Wars wise. And he said, "Yeah, no, it's just not too. It's just too far away from what I like about Star Wars." Sure, fine, you got Ahsoka.
Yeah, that's it.
But Endor,
don't tell Hutch about your friend, because he's literally in love with Andor.
Oh, me too. I saw the first 3 episodes of that also in the cinema, and
Oh wow,
man, that was an experience.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something, again, like you say, it's quite slow paced. You've got to give it time to breathe and to build the story. And you know, if you just jumped off after the first episode because you're like, nah, not for me, you'd be missing out on so much good stuff.
Yeah, give it some water and watch it grow.
Yeah, nice analogy. Yeah, like a flower.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Brilliant. Okay, and then just quickly then to finish off, we've got the Lego Star Wars thing coming out pretty soon, but apart from that, the next live action should be towards the end of the year is Skeleton Crew.
Yes.
So what you've seen from that, from the trailers or the teasers, I should say, really, are you excited for that? What are your thoughts?
My excitement is through the roof for Skeleton Crew. Yeah.
Lovely.
When I was young, I watched movies like E.T. and The Goonies and Indiana Jones and that kind of stuff. And this trailer really is just The Goonies in outer space.
Yes.
And it reminded me of that Super 8 movie that J.J. Abrams did a couple of years ago. It's just, what if Steven Spielberg made Star Wars in the 80s?
Yeah.
And just that sentence makes my brain go wild. And it's probably really kiddie. It looks kiddie, but this has to be kiddie. This has to be the Stranger Things for Star Wars. Just 80s vibe, cute aliens, big dark fantasy worlds. I mean, it can be cute and childish, but it can also be really mature. I mean, the trailer already showed a couple of hard moments, of course.
Yeah.
And I mean, The Goonies, that's my youth. Movies like Willow, and really gave me that vibe. And if that vibe is really what the show will bring me, screw Andor season 2. This will be my Star Wars.
I like it. Yeah, absolutely. That 80s Spielberg nostalgia is going to play big into our generation, isn't it? It's
but that does bring, I think, the problem for Lucasfilm that people our age will love it more than the younger kids who it's meant to be for. Right. Because they don't have that nostalgia unless they watch Stranger Things or something, but they don't know the 80s like we do. They might have a hard time adapting to it. And I think this is more, it's a childish Star Wars for adults. I really think that's what the show should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if they can pull it off, then I agree. It's got the potential to be the best Star Wars series. So fingers crossed that it lives up to the hype and they come up with something special for us.
Yeah, and just give me a stuffed animal, the blue elephant thingy. That's not the same alien as Max Rebo or whatever, but I just want this as a plush Care Bear in my bed all the time and snuggle it when I don't watch the episodes. Yeah.
Oh, yes. The merch opportunities are always there, aren't they?
Yeah, Disney is printing money.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. Absolutely. Fantastic. Well, it's been really great to have you on the show again, Baz. Thanks so much for coming to talk.
No problem.
It's been good to catch up, and thanks for all your thoughts on the game. Am I going to buy it? I'm probably a step closer to getting it after hearing what you've got to say.
Otherwise, just try the Ubisoft Plus contract for a month. It's like Xbox Game Pass. You can just play the game for 1 month, then cancel your contract and. That's a cheap way. Yeah.
Nothing lost then. Can I do it on, because I'm PS5, can I do it on that?
I think you can, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll check that out. That could be a good shout. Otherwise, I usually wait for the first big price drop.
With Ubisoft games, that's normally within 5 weeks.
Yeah. It won't be long. Let's face it.
Before the new Assassin's Creed come out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Perfect. Well, take care, and we'll definitely have you back on the show again sometime soon if you'd like to come and join us again.
You know where to find me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and just remind us then on your socials where people can find your content.
You can find me just at Bas van Dun on Instagram. My new podcast can be found at Distory Podcast and otherwise at Star Wars Podcast, but the last one is in Dutch. So, yeah.
That's it. But your Dutch.
Yeah, but the Disney podcast is in English.
There you go. Something for everyone. Brilliant. Yes. All right. Well, all the best, and we'll speak to you again soon.
May the force be with you.
Well, I must say, Stefan, that was a wonderful interview. Thank you, Baz. Thank you very much for giving us your time. Very insightful, I thought.
Yeah, very insightful. I mean, the guy clearly knows his stuff, as we found out last time when we spoke to him, and if he gives it the thumbs up, I'm inclined to agree with him.
Yes, 8 out of 10. 8 out of
very
10.
high.
8 out of 10 for anything is exceptionally good, I would say.
Well, it is, yeah, but especially considering most Star Wars games are terrible.
And he's also very forgiving. I mean, I don't know if I'd have got over those early hiccups.
I think, but when you've invested that much money in it, maybe you're inclined to want to see it through. But I think losing a save game,
it's a bit harsh as well. Like, you'd have thought that clearly, as he says, it's a very good game. But as you say, you've paid for early release, but then all your progress for the early release is wiped out.
Yeah,
you'd have thought they'd come up with some sort. I mean, he said he got Ubisoft credits or something.
But
it's not much of a compensation.
It's like getting a store voucher at a place you never shop at.
Exactly,
really, isn't it?
It's like, here, that thing that broke. Here's something. Buy something else from the place that it broke.
Exactly. I mean, it's not unprecedented in games though, because you've got like the Call of Duties and stuff of this world.
Yeah.
All the people they get on early to that, and they level up and max out their players. Then when it goes live, they wipe everyone back to zero again.
Really?
So that's intentional. This was a bit of a cock up.
Yeah.
So especially with like an RPG game,
in something like that, you're playing against other users. It's a bit pointless if you're trying to sell the game. Yeah. You're not going to buy it if you know you're going to log on and everyone else is already streets ahead.
Exactly.
Of you,
Yeah. So it makes sense in that respect, but really annoying if you've put hours and hours into a single player game just to go back to square one. I mean, like he said, he was able to get back to where he was quite quick because he obviously knew, the benefit of that experience, but I'd be fucking pissed off.
I'll be fucking furious.
I put precious little time into gaming as it is. I'm really unlikely to go back and want to put in all those hours again, but clearly he thought it was worth it, and
absolutely
had a really positive experience of it. So
good. Well, yeah, he's
big
a
thumbs up.
He's a very engaging and very pleasant character, I would say. I'll certainly be checking out his new podcast as well, the Distillery podcast. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, that does. Yeah, definitely give that a listen.
Now not to say I wouldn't have listened to his past offerings, but listening to a podcast in Dutch, unfortunately, would have been a bit redundant for me.
As much as we love Star Wars, it's listening to it in another language.
It could have been talking about anything, quite frankly.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Well done. I mean, just to let people know, and Baz to know, Steph and I will not be doing a podcast in Dutch. I know that Baz is clearly a lot more talented than we are.
Yes.
So yes, and also thoughts on the Acolyte as well. I thought that was good. I'd say good. I mean, I wouldn't have thought any less of him if he'd had opposing views to us, but I feel like he shared a lot of what we've said.
Yeah, I think so. Great minds think alike and all that. So good to see that there's a lot of positivity out there for what's happened, and disappointment in the situation, really.
Yeah, interested to hear his theory about the possibility of it coming back, but maybe sort of in a slightly different guise.
Yeah,
so a continuation of the story, but maybe not the Acolyte.
I don't think Disney are done with the High Republic, so let's see what happens.
And the whole Darth Plagueis stuff. I don't think they're going to get rid of that. That needs more exploration, I would say.
Yes, yeah, you're right. Yeah, we'll just have to see what form that's going to take.
Very good. Very good. Okie doke. Right. Well, thank you again, Baz. And I would urge everyone listening to go and check out his podcasts, particularly Distory, A History of Disney, with his wife, who unfortunately we don't know the name of.
No.
So sorry,
Mrs. Van Dun.
Sorry, Mrs. Van Dun, if you're listening. Good luck with your podcast. We will certainly be listening. Right, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we will do some second chance cinema for this week, where we'll be talking about Outlander, and Steph will be telling us what we're going to be watching next week.